Today on the Roadhouse, how can I make your wood floor, laminate flooring install go faster, easier? What do you need? Let me tell you. Roadhouse is sponsored by Finley River Towing and Speedy's Industrial Coatings in Ozark, Missouri. Speedy's does all your media blasting and powder coating. Big or small, they do it all. Finley River Towing takes care of all your high-end to low-end towing needs. Call Finley River Towing if you're in the Ozark or Branson area. Tell them the Roadhouse sent you. If you're taking up carpeting, you're going to need a set of needle nose pliers. You're going to need to be staples out of the floor so it won't mess up the levelness of the floor when you put it in. And some people nail them down. I would never do that. I think that pulling them out is the best method, because if you miss one, you don't nail it all the way down. Your floor is going to maybe move, maybe squeak. So definitely needle nose pliers. The second thing you're going to need in conjunction with these needle nose pliers, it's going to make your life a hell of a lot easier, is a creeper. They use them in automotive applications where you can crawl up underneath your car, scoot around, and it rolls around. Well, if you turn yourself over and you lay on it face down, you can go around, you can move around on your floor and get these things out without being on your knees all day. And I will tell you, it is a lifesaver to not have to do that. So second thing, creeper. All right, I forgot to put an important item in. If you have carpet, there's tack strips that run around the border of your room. You're going to definitely need a crowbar to be able to push up underneath those nails and to pull those things out. Now, I only had a short crowbar about this long. I got it at Harbor Freight for like $3, $4, $5 or something. I can't remember exactly. But if you have one where you can stand up and then drive that thing underneath those nails for your tack strips, that will save your knees as well. And I'm telling you, I had the regular crowbar and it worked fine, but I was still down on my knees driving a hammer into that crowbar. Whereas where I've seen people use those long crowbars that you can stand up and slide up underneath those nails and the tack strips, I've seen them where they didn't have to use a hammer whatsoever at all. It's just the force of that thing going across the floor. So I would definitely get a longer one than what I had. A T-level bar, whatever you want, to be able to put it at the end of the wood and make your marks across the wood. These things are very cheap if you get it like Harbor Freight. It has a flat edge on it to where you've got a straight line from the get-go. Very important for this thing, especially when you're cutting on your wood or vinyl or whatever you're going to use. Pencil. Next, you're going to need a rubber mallet. You're going to be able to use this rubber mallet in a lot of different areas where the wood doesn't quite go down, it doesn't quite connect great, and you can zap this thing and you're not going to have to worry about marring the wood or anything like that. That is a great help, along with a hammer. Some of these areas are not going to be as easy to get down. The rubber mallet's not going to work, and you've got this thing and it's not quite connecting and it's got a little bump in it. You take a 2x4, put it on top of this right here, nail it with a hammer, good to go, knock it down. So definitely 2x4, hammer, rubber mallet. Don't mar up your wood. Next thing, this is probably the most important thing out of everything that I'm going to discuss with you today, is this tool right here. They call it a pull bar, and I guess the reason why they call it a pull bar is because you put it up against the wood right here, and then you take your hammer and you hit this side right here, and it brings this side over here really close. There's no gaps in your wood floor whatsoever. So that is a lifesaver. Now you can see what I've done. I've put tape on the end of this thing because I did not want to mar my wood. And there's a couple places where I marred my wood with this. So I went ahead and put tape around it so I wouldn't do it. And this is called a pull bar. You can get them any place. Amazon. Amazon, you can get a whole kit for like $20. That includes a rubber mallet of sorts. I don't know how good it is. And this, as well as some other, a wax block. A wax block can be used like a 2x4, but I wanted the softness of the 2x4 because the wood would give a little bit, whereas if you're using wax block, it might not. Next thing you're going to need is a tape measure, so you can measure out different lengths of wood that you're going to need, so you can go ahead and cut them. And moving from there to the cutting portion of it, I used a jigsaw. I used a chop saw, which I'll show you here in a little bit, but I couldn't fit it on my table here. But this is the chop saw, or what I call the chop saw, that I used, that my dad used on this floor. And you can put it at any angle, whatever you want to do, and cut it. It worked out really good for us. The chop saw and my jigsaw basically ran everything that I did as far as the flooring goes. The jigsaw is really easy to use when you're doing long stretches of cuts. So not like your chop saw is not going to be able to fix that for you, unless you got some sort of table saw where you do that. Whereas if you're just doing this at home and you're not a professional and you don't have a table saw, or you don't have any of that type of stuff, a jigsaw works really well. Just be really careful and keep your lines straight. Then you're going to get around door areas, and when the trim around the door areas, or replacing anything other than wood, you may have to be cutting around your doors or your trim areas and stuff like that. And there is a oscillating saw, which I think would be the best thing. I did not have one, and I wish that I did, where you just put the piece of wood up next to the trim, and what the area of the trim that is not going to be needed, you go ahead and take that oscillating saw and you run it across there, and it'll take care of it. I'll put a link to one or two in the description. These things would have made my day a lot easier, and I still may buy one because I've still got more flooring to do in other areas of the house. Now the next thing, what I did use is I used a 4-inch grinder, where I took off the shield, went ahead and used it basically the same way, but it wasn't as clean as an oscillating saw. I set off my smoke alarm several different times because it did heat it up to where it actually, I think I saw flame on one of them. So be very careful if you're using one of these things. Make sure you use all the safety equipment, eye protection. If you're using this in this dangerous sort of way, make sure you wear gloves, and you make sure you know where your hands are at when you're doing this stuff. Don't hurt yourself while you're doing this. I found that these tools are the minimum of what you're going to need to make your day go easy. Now, there's probably other tools that they make on the market that will make it easy, but I'm telling you, if you're putting any sort of wood, flooring, laminate flooring, any of that type of floor in, pergo, whatever, these tools that I mentioned here, they're going to make your day go a lot easier. Thank you for watching, liking, subscribe down below. And as always, if you ride her hard, don't put her away wet. If you found something that works better and I missed it, put it down in the comments. Thank you. Next thing I used that I did not mention before is I used a 2x4, and I put it right up in that groove there, and then I would hit it on this side over here in order to drive that wood into the next panel, which I tell you what, between that tool that I showed you for the flooring and a 2x4, it's the best tools that I had in the whole entire flooring. We used this workbench here, and came out really handy by using the jigsaw and everything on it. Hank helped us quite a bit on this, and once again, he always leaves when I start filming him.